Hey guys, it's your boy Tacho here, back for some more Fire Emblem Heroes. And today what we're going to be doing is we're going to go ahead and do a showcase for the Fallen Julia. So, this Julia's artwork is super sexy and I loved her little story in the Forging Bonds mode, so this Julia is already a really awesome unit. But how good is she going to be when we actually take her for a spin? We're about to find out. So her weapon is Dark Scripture, which grants her attack up 3, and if she's not adjacent to any allies while she's in combat, she's going to be inflicting attack and res -6 on the foes during combat, as well as gaining a guaranteed follow-up attack if the foes are not effective against dragons. So unlike the other Julias that we have in the game, this one is actually not effective against dragons herself, but she does get that guaranteed follow-up attack, which is a really powerful effect for her to have. Also, she comes with Light and Dark, which is the passive skill from Legendary Julia. It's basically an Omni Lull, where it negates all of the active buffs on the foe, while inflicting all stats -2 on them, and it prevents units from using adaptive damage on her. So all of those dragon types that would hit the lower of her defense or res are not going to be able to do that. So it's a pretty cheeky way for her to deal with dragon types and prevent them from attacking her usually lower defense than her res stat. They're going to be forced to go through her titanic 40 res if they want to try to hurt her, and that's not going to go too well for those dragon types. And her defense, I have plus defense and minus HP as the Ivies. Her base defense is only 17, which you might think isn't really the best, but I'm going to tell you guys, her 17 defense is very deceptive. She's actually capable of tanking hits quite well, with the combination of Dark Scripture and Light and Dark doing all of that minus attack to the foes, and negating any active buffs they may have. It's very hard to hurt this Julia when she initiates, and that is why I'm running the Sturdy Blow Sacred Seal on her, so we can just get that little bit extra defense when she initiates. So let's go ahead and play her in Arena Assaults, and I'm going to show you guys just how good this Julia actually is. Alright, so here's our first fight of the day. We are up against a Brave Hector, a Fallen Ike, a Legendary Celica, and a Legendary Edelgard, so this is really awesome. I wasn't sure that we'd be able to get to face off against a +10 Fallen Ike today, but here he is. Now this is going to be amazing to see how Julia fares against a Fallen Ike at +10. Of course, that man has Repel, and he's a really good defensive unit, so let's see what happens here. He is also on a defense tile, and wow, look at that. Look at Julia here, getting the 1-round KO on this Fallen Ike. On a defense tile, too. That's insane. This is a base kit Julia, pretty much, and also I have no merges on her at all. Whereas that Fallen Ike was at +10, so that is crazy that she can get the 1 round on him, even on a defense tile. Alright, we're going to get the 1 shot pretty easily on this Edelgard here. And I'm going to go ahead and get the dance on my Julia, or just reposition her out of the way so we can deal with this Hector at our own pace. Now, I do actually remember this fight, and this guy kind of got on my nerves a little bit with this Hector build that he's running. So he's running the Omni Breaker Hector with Wary Fighter and the Quick Repost Sacred Seal. And of course, this Brave Hector has Meltet as his weapon, which grants a guaranteed follow-up attack as well. So just like with Resplendent Hector, this Brave Hector here with that Omni Breaker build is capable of pretty much double attacking any opponent while negating their follow-up attack. So I was kind of ticked off that I had to soften up this Hector first with Naga before we're able to get the finish with Julia. Had this guy not been running the Omni Breaker build on his Hector, then Julia would have completely powered through him despite having color disadvantage there. I mean, what is the color triangle to a unit like Julia? Even with her base kit and with no merges at all, blue units really just do not stand a chance. Okay, so we're going to show that off in full force here. This guy has a Micaiah, a very tanky blue res unit. So she has color advantage. Let's see how she does against Julia. Oh my god, look at that. She can't even do a thing. She's doing 0 damage to us. Now, we are on a defense tile, but that really doesn't matter too much because Julia's weapon, Dark Scripture, is going to inflict attack and res -6 on the foes, while she's not adjacent to any allies during combat. And she also has a guaranteed follow-up attack on foes, assuming that they do not have effective against dragons on their weapon. So this Julia, on the player phase, she's a complete animal. And she also has Light and Dark from the legendary Julia, which is a crazy good B-slot skill. It's an Omni-Lull effect pretty much, where it negates any of the foe's active buffs, and then inflicts -2 to all stats on them. And if that wasn't even good enough, then it has another effect as well, where if she's in combat against a foe that has adaptive damage, they are not going to be able to hit the lower of her defense or res. So just another middle finger to dragon types, as if she wasn't already bodying them hard enough already. Now, the one thing about this Fallen Julia is that she is not effective against dragons like all the other Julia types in the game, which is pretty interesting, but I am running Naga on this team, of course, so we can still get effective against dragons anyway. And, I mean, this Julia here is very good to run in Aether Rays on a defense team, of course, because of how good she is as an offensive threat. But you may not want to run her on a defense team when it's Astra season, of course, because Naga is an Astra mythic hero, and Naga is able to provide effective against dragons to any adjacent allies. So you may want to try and avoid her running into Naga's shenanigans if you're playing her on your Aether Rays defense team. So I would stick to Light and Dark season for this Julia if you're going to play her on an Aether Rays defense setup. But, I mean, she's still probably going to have no trouble at all making mincemeat out of the foes you're going to be fighting. She's just so stacked regardless. Okay, so this guy's team, he's got a +10 Resplendent Hector and +10 Valentine Faye. Now, Valentine Faye is a really stacked unit in her own right, but look at this. Even on a defense tile and at +10, we're just tearing through these units. This is so insane, man. This Julia, this is a base kit Julia, by the way, and we're just, like, taking absolutely no prisoners. So, I've also got the double Herons on this team, and the reason why is because they passively heal for 7 HP's worth of damage at the start of the turn. And this Julia's defense is very deceptive. I mean, 17 defense, yeah, right? After all of the damage reduction she does on her weapon with -6 attack, and then Light and Dark as well, like, I mean, the foes basically are not able to touch her, even if they're physical attacks. So this Julia is so crazy, and with the healing I get from the Herons at the start of every turn, we're going to pretty much be able to abuse her deceptive defense, and we can just keep on healing off any damage we take and keep going for those one-shots. Okay, this guy, he's got Legendary Tiki as well as Legendary Julia. Both of those units are particularly good against the Fallen Julia, because both of them are blue and they both have effective against dragons. So they're negating my guaranteed follow-up, as well as doing color-type triangle advantage on me. But let's see how far that actually goes for them, because, I mean, Julia is just so out of this world in terms of how good she is. I doubt they're still going to be able to have much of a chance here. Okay, so we're going to have to give it a turn. I mean, Legendary Julia with her insanely good res is still going to be a threat for us. So I've got effective against dragons here, but I could go for the one-shot on Tiki, but I'm actually going to... We're going to ignore that, and I'm going to attack Tiki without effective against dragons. Just to show you guys how good this Julia actually is, even without it. So look at this. Tiki is not able to get the double attack KO on me. She only did 7 damage a hit there, which is pretty nuts. Okay, and this Julia as well, she's not able to finish me off even though I've already taken some damage. So, I mean, don't mess with Fallen Julia, guys. She is so hard to bait. Like, I can't think of a unit that can actually safely bait her effectively, pretty much. Imagine if she was at +10 and she had plus attack IVs. It would just be GG. There's just, like, nothing you can do about her. And we're going to get the one-shot on Tiki here. So, we had the special ready. That wasn't really the biggest deal. But I also had Naga adjacent to her for that attack, and she is more powerful when she's fighting with no allies adjacent. So that is something to take into account. Okay, this guy here, he's got Brave Ike, and he's got Resplendent Hector at plus 10. I would be doing pretty much the same thing as these people here that we've been fighting with all of these plus 10 Resplendent Hectors. If I had him at plus 10 myself, I'd be swagging on people for sure, and using him in Arena too. Because even though the Resplendent BST bonus does not count towards his scoring for Arena, he's still a pretty cool unit, and I do like his new artwork. I did like the OG artwork a bit too, because it was kind of a cartoon style of artwork, and it sort of looked like he was from Codename Steam there, which is another Intelligent Systems game. I'm not sure how many people have played Codename Steam, because it didn't seem to sell all that well. But that was a really fun game, and a really nice throwback to some of the earlier Intelligent Systems games. If you guys have played Advance Wars, then I would highly recommend at least giving Codename Steam a try. It did feel very much like a modern take on Advance Wars, at least for what they could do today. Alright, so we're going to go for the KO on this Resplendent Hector here. And I just have to get the dance, and we can one-shot this Alm even on the defense tile. I guess that's not really too impressive, because Legendary Alm doesn't have the best of res, but still, getting the one-shots on him is very nice. Okay, so this guy on his team, he's got Altina. Altina's a pretty high res unit, and unfortunately we're not going to be able to attack her while she has her Vantage shenanigans in effect. But I mean, of course, with this legendary, or with this Fallen Julia, if you were running her on an Aether Raids defense team, you would probably want to give her the Hardy Bearing Sacred Seal. Unless you're running her on an Infantry Pulse setup, I guess, where maybe you're running a high-cost special and you'd want to go for the Quicken Pulse Seal instead. But regardless, I mean, I would say Hardy Bearing is a good choice for this Julia too, so people can't just pull off any Vantage shenanigans on her. And Surtur doing 13 damage. We do have color advantage on Surtur, but I mean, still, he has a ton of attack, and Julia is supposed to only have 17 defense, am I right? So that 17 defense may as well be like 30-something defense, because she has defense. Do not be fooled by the 17 defense on this Julia. So that's going to wrap us up for the arena run today, guys. Very nice showcase. I would have liked to show this Julia off on an Aether Raids defense team, but that's going to be a hassle all on its own, because I would have to wait like a week to pile up a whole bunch of defense fights to actually show you guys the replays for. So I decided to just show her off in Arena Assault for now. But still very impressive showcase by this Julia. She's one of the craziest units in the game right now. And she's a complete nightmare to deal with if you have to try and bait her. I really can't think of any unit that can safely bait this Julia. So that's all for today, guys. And this is your boy Tacho signing out. So as always, have a great one. And I'll catch you guys again on the flip side.